Dear Sangha, is the translation okay? Thank you. So I know that you have just had some guided meditation, but let's just do a little bit of it with me. Please close your eyes and gently bring your attention to your sitting posture. Relax your shoulders, relax your face, and then gently bring attention to our in breath and out breath. Breathing in, I am aware of the whole Sangha around me. And breathing out, I am breathing with the whole Sangha. Breathing in, I am aware of my breathing. And breathing out, Thai in me is breathing with me. My breathing, Thai is breathing with me. So, dear Sangha, you can now open your eyes and be in touch again with the shapes and the colors in front of you and around you. And maybe look around a little bit to register the faces around you, around us. And maybe just smile. It's wonderful that we are here together in this hall today. Mình tắt cái sưởi được không em? So, dear Sangha, before I start my sharing, I would like to acknowledge the presence of Sister Chân Không in this hall. I don't know if Sister Chân Đức is here. Oh, here. And all other brothers and sisters who are our elders in the community, and other brothers and sisters who are here to support me and allow me to sit here to share my practice with you all today. So thank you. Dear respected Thai, dear brothers, sisters, dear siblings, and dear friends, today is the 27th of February, 2025, and we are in the full moon meditation hall of the Loving Kindness Temple of New Hamlet. And we are still in our spring retreat, which is just the season that the temples just have, or the monasteries here just have our normal activities. There's no big retreats right now. But I heard that in Lower Hamlet, we do have a theme week, a silence with the theme silence. When I received this assignment, which is to know the day that I come up here to share, I started meditating on what I would share with you. And since I do have a problem with the structures, I just thought, oh, maybe I just pick up something from one of Thai's Dharma talks and develop it. But then I jumped into another idea. I thought usually Thai would encourage us to do something Thai called inventory. You know, like in the bookshop, about November each year, we do have inventory to see what's still in the stock and what we need to buy more to stock up. So I thought sharing today give me an opportunity maybe to do a little bit of inventory of my practice over the years. And so today I will share with you some of it. And maybe the inventory will continue. It will have to be continued because our practice always evolved and it's in our everyday living. So obviously, I will not just stop today here, but I think I would just share with you something kind of I feel important for me to begin with. And really, I remember when I was long time ago when I first came across Thai stitching. One day I was in the assembly like you now, and one brother came up here and he said, "Today, what would the Sangha want me to share?" I really hope I could say something like that to you now, but until that day comes, in the meantime, I will share with you my inventory. in Thai's life, he has given many Dharma talks, and I listened to his Dharma talks, and sometimes I forgot entirely the Dharma talks. Maybe I just remember one sentence, and so I will share with you some of the sentences that I remember from his Dharma talks and put them into my daily life. But first, I would like to share with you my impression about Thai. I think what I learned from Thai first is his stillness. Somehow, his stillness is really, really, what's the word? Prevalent, something so obvious, something we could see right away when we see him. Even when he was walking or eating or speaking, we could actually feel his stillness in his actions. And over the years, I think that is something I really like to develop. And through Thai, I learned how to be still when I move. For example, how to be still when I walk from here to the dining hall. And that means to arrive in every step. And in those, in Plum Village, we have phrases. When you come here, you would hear it all the time. To arrive in every step, to be dwelling in the present moment, to come back to ourselves. You can hear me very well? Is that okay now? And of course, I remember in each Dharma talk, most of the time, half of the talk, Thai would talk about the basic practices. Thai always bring us back to our breathing, to our steps, to our very basic thing in our daily life. And today I actually would like to copy that from him also. That's why I mentioned this, because I thought, when I prepare for this talk, my mind jumped from this topic to another, and I felt like, oh, this is probably more interesting to share. Maybe this is more helpful to share. But in the end, I felt that maybe I should share first about the basic practice. And that means dwelling in the present moment. What I learned from Thai is, of course, the mindfulness practice. And my stock take for that is the basic practices, the power of just doing very simple things like eating in mindfulness, walking and dwelling in each step, coming back to be aware of our breath. And right now, when you are sitting there giving me your time, I hope that you also relax your body and be aware of your posture, your breath. And in April, I will have a chance to go to Greece, and I just want to refer to the the Greek. They have a mythology which is very rich. And one of the things just came up to my mind is the river Styx. Anybody here know the river Styx? Thank you. The river Styx in the mythology is the river that you have to cross when you go to the underworld. And I would like to stand up. I think that's how it's written. like that. Thank you. And in the mythology, there's a hero called Achilles. Do you remember Achilles? And in Vietnamese, because we pronounce it as a French people, we call it Achilles. And we usually call gót chân của Achilles, đó, the heel of Achilles. Achilles. Sorry. You know why. It will improve. So, when I practice the basic practices, I feel like Achilles in a way, because in the mythology, they say that Achilles' mother, when he was a baby, she actually held him by his heel and dipped him into the Styx River and make him invulnerable. His whole body became invulnerable except his heel, because that's where his mother held him. So I thought the basic practices actually help me to put the protection on me so that I could become invulnerable. But that protection has to be kind of maintained during my whole life as a practitioner, because as soon as I stop those basic practices, my heel will be in the open and I would become vulnerable. I don't know if you know what I mean, because I feel that when we actually practice to be mindful with our actions, to be mindful when we walk, to be mindful when we breathe, and so on. Those little actions actually make our life. Every moment we do some movements. Every single instant in our life, we have a gesture or a speech. We say something or we do something, and those little acts just make our whole life. And that's why I feel that I need to share this with you as a warm-up for my Greek trip. And I feel also that in one of Thai's Dharma Talk, he said that what he really felt concerned, I can't remember the exact word he used, so please forgive me if one day you come across the same thing and Thai use another word, but I think it's probably the same meaning, or more or less convey the message, that he said he hoped that we will never wait until we hit the rock bottom to practice, because the practice needs to be done on a daily basis in every moment, so that we can be like Achilles, protected by our own practice, and when a storm in our life comes, we are ready. A couple of days ago, we practiced walking meditation, and during the walk, we actually we crossed the street here, the road in front of our hamlet, and we walked in the field just opposite the hamlet, and suddenly very strong wind came, and I was walking like this in the sangha, along with the sangha, and the wind nearly blew me off the ground. I am not, I should carry a rock or something, but So anyway, I was really off my feet, and somehow instant, in my, like my instinct, just acted at that moment. I just turned around and I started walking backwards. And I could see the Sangha behind me, which was now in front of me. And I felt like I gained the balance again. So I feel if we are ready, in every moment, and we never can get ready enough, I think, then we can face a storm when it comes, or a strong wind when it comes. And I would also like to share with you that I learned also from Thai, that I am not the same person. Last Sunday, Brother Fapli in his Dharma Talk also mentioned this, that we are changing every moment. The same Brother Fapli came to the sitting on the cushion giving Dharma Talk is different than Brother Fapli when he finished the Dharma Talk, and it's the same with me. And I learned that in each of us, we do have five elements, 5 rivers that are flowing day and night. And I think many of you are already familiar with the a drawing that Thai drew every time he talked about our 5 skandhas. It's like tangerine, or I think it's a tangerine is better because it's got 5 sections. This one look like an apple more, but you please use your imagination. So this is our body. Our person makes of our body, our feeling, our perception, our mental formation, and our consciousness. Outside these 5, there's nothing else. But today I don't want to go too deep into this. This one I save it for another Dharma teacher's Dharma talk at some stage. But today I just like to give you this brief idea. And if you are not familiar with it, you can look at the information or Thai's Dharma talk. You go online and type 5 skandhas Thích Nhất Hạnh, and his Dharma talks will come up, or some of our Dharma teachers' talks will come up to cover this. But for me, I just like to use this to share with you that how I put it into practice is to be aware that our body, our feeling, our perception, our mental formations, and our consciousness are constantly changing. And that's why I am also impermanent. I'm not the same person as I came up here before. And so in that way, it helps me a lot to see that, for example, if something happened between me and my sisters, something happened between me and my family member, I learned to look at both of us in this light, that we both are changing all the time. I learned to look deeply into my own 5 skandhas, the 5 areas. And in Thai's words, he said that these 5 are our territories. We are the king or the queen, and we must always come back to rule our territories. And before I practiced with Thai, I often left my territory and went elsewhere. I neglected my territory. I didn't know what really happened in my feeling. I didn't really know what happened in my body. I didn't really know what happened with my mental formations and so on. Sometimes I thought I did, but actually I didn't. So now Thầy reminded me to come back and be the queen in my own territory. And because of that, I would like to also share with you that because now I come back to my own territory, I am more aware of my feelings and my mental formations and so on. Then I feel that I can be more authentic. Yesterday in New Hamlet, we watched a Dharma Talk by Thầy. And he was talking about how normally during the day we go about our business and we relate to people, we resolve this and we resolve that, but we actually just use the surface, use our person on the surface. The deep thing inside of us, sometimes we even don't know. Things are running just like a computer, that we have something on the screen, we can read the screen, but there may be some apps or some programs running in the back of the computer and make the computer slow down a lot or interfere with the program that we are trying to run. And in our body, in our mind, it's the same. There are things that running underneath that cause us to behave like this, to behave like that, and we don't even know. So that's what I actually became more aware of. And when I share with you to become more authentic, I mean I just don't do things, or I try to refrain from doing things just because I want to win other people's approval or affection, or or want people to think that I am a good person. And in order to do that, there's a lot of things that I need to practice. You know, when I was 22 years old, I was in my 3rd year of university, and the view I see about myself was very different than the way I see about myself now. And today I will share with you a few sentences in a poem that I composed when I was 22 years old. It's a long poem, but I just share with you a few sentences. And in Vietnamese, there's a kind of poem that we call thơ con cóc á. Thơ con cóc means they use that literally translated is the poem about a cane toad. You know a cane toad? Cane toad is the same family as a frog, but the cane toad cannot go up to the tree. The cane toad with the skin kind of lumpy and it doesn't look kind of beautiful from our eyes, but from another cane toad maybe it's beautiful. So anyway, why we have that phrase? Because there's a story behind. There were 3 scholars who tried to pass an exam. You know, in Vietnam and in China, we follow the Chinese system very long time ago, and mostly they had to write a piece of something, or they had to compose a poem or something, and 3 of them sat there and they said, "How about we make a poem?" And then suddenly a cane toad jumped out, and one say, the cane toad jumped out from his den, den, his den. And then another one say, and then the cane toad jump again. Con cóc trong hang. First jump from the den, and then the second one say, and then the cane toad just sit there. And then the third one say, and then it jump again. So that kind of to them a poem, you know. And then after that they praise each other and say, wonderful, we have done a wonderful job, how beautiful our poem is. So people use that to kind of, you know, laugh at people, which is not very nice, but that's how people do. For something that is just kind of not really extraordinary, but people feel kind of very proud of it, something like that. So anyway, in my youth, I tried to write some cane toad poems, and this is one of them. So in I said that, yeah, I wish that dad didn't meet mom, so that now the world doesn't have to have me. So that I don't have to feel bad when I ruin my own self. Therefore, the more I grew up, the more complexes I have. Can you imagine what kind of 22 years old that was? Not really pleasant, you know. And but then when I look back to my 22 years old time, I wonder why I had that kind of mentality. Maybe I read too much novels, you know. Maybe I watched too many dramas. I probably also fed myself with romantic kind of ideas, like you suffer and then you kind of become more romantic somehow, you know. That's how it works. Of course, there was something in my personal life and my family and my bringing up be part of that, but I think I didn't know how to handle it, and I fed it a bit more. So that's why I came up with this kind of thinking. And so with the practice, I learned to be grateful. Because if you listen carefully to the sentence that I read, you can see that I say that I wish my mom and dad didn't meet, so the world doesn't have to have me. it didn't say that, so I don't have to be here in the world, but I said, but the world doesn't have to have me. You know, it's a very important point, because in language, if you just change the position of one word, it can give a very different meaning. So that shows how much that I felt like it's okay. It's not that I don't want to be in this world, but I think that you don't want me. Can you get that from there? Mm. And it was just full of illusion, really, because now I learned that I am the world. The world is me. How can the world doesn't want me? Unless I don't want the world. You know what I mean? So, but that's how I saw it, dualistic point of view. Now, sorry, you have to have me. And I am with you. I am happy to be with you. So I am sure you are happy to be with me. So. And, and I also learn about the impact that I have in the world just with my existence. The impact I have in the world sounds really grand, you know. But I feel that in daily life, it could come into very little things, very small things. Maybe we can listen to one sound of the bell. When I first ordained as an aspirant, as a novice, a young novice, I felt when I came into the monastery, I really had to unlearn. I had to unlearn what I already knew, and relearn things. A lot of things I have to relearn. But maybe because of my way of looking at things, I tend to attend to small things. I tend to pick small things and develop and practice it. For example, when I first came into the rotation team, and Sister Bảo Nghiêm, who is not here right now, she's visiting her family in Vietnam right now. She was saying to me something which I practice until today. She said to me, "Sư em, when you do something, you need to really pay attention. For example, if you go to the sink, if you wash something in the sink, after you leave the sink behind, the sink has to be clean, so that the person after you doesn't feel agitated when they come to use the sink." And she said, in the temple, you try every way not to make people have a mental formation. So for somehow that thing stay with me for until now. So I had to unlearn what I did before, and relearn how to live in the community. And how does that tie up back to what I shared earlier about being authentic? Because another phrase that I remember from Thai's Dharma Talks, which he actually now put it in another form. You know, the calligraphy that he's written, be beautiful, be yourself. You know that one, the calligraphy? And but the sentence I learned from his Dharma talk is, you don't have to be a rose if you are a chrysanthemum. Some of you listen to the same Dharma talk, yes? Or if you are a lotus, you are beautiful as a lotus. You don't have to be beautiful as a rose. So for me, it's very similar to the calligraphy. Be beautiful, be yourself. And that to me means that I learn to accept myself with the weaknesses, with the strength, and allowing, giving myself permission to make mistakes, to be something not perfect, but at the same time not compromising. Because for me, it is a very important part. Maybe you use it in different terms, but maybe you practice the same thing. That we for me, not compromising to my own habit energy is something really I have to pay attention to, because sometimes you know how we have the steps, practicing mindfulness, and then we recognize our habit energy, and then we accept our habit energy, we look into the roots of our habit energy, and then we stop there. For me, it's got to have another step. We have to resist. But I share with you something I found very funny, which gives me, every time I practice this, I bring the element of fun into it. Because another thing Thai said, he said too many things, you know. Another thing Thai said is, when you practice, you have to have fun. It's got to be joyful, otherwise we cannot go on. So after we became a monastic, we usually don't watch worldly movies anymore. We don't watch the film anymore. But during the third, the Vietnamese New Year, we cook the earth cake together, and we make an exception. We watch some movies together as a whole community. So this year, we actually watched a movie called The God Must Be Crazy. Have you watched that one? Or heard of that one? Not many. That is one of my favorites. It's very old. It was made in the 1980s. And in there's a scene that I find very, very hilarious, at the same time very helpful for my practice. I will share with you. So in there's a PhD student who went to Africa to do his thesis. And one day, the local priest, asked him to go and pick up an English teacher who just came from England. And because the condition in Africa is very, very, very simple, so there was just only one jeep. That when you drive that jeep, you should not turn the engine off, because when you turn it off, you cannot start it again. That's one thing. That's one thing. Another thing is that jeep didn't have a brake. So, so that man, he was really amazing. He managed to drive the jeep and so on. And when he came to one place, one part of the road, it was like this. It was like this. So, so up here there's a gate. There's a gate. So when he drove the jeep up here, he would have to stop here, jump down, open the gate. And while he was open the gate, the jeep went back like this because there's no brake. So he had to use a piece of rock and so on to put at the wheel, at the tire, to stop the jeep from going here. So it just went on like that for some time because he had to jump out and open the gate. And when he opened the gate, the jeep came here. And then with the quán tính là gì? Quán tính. The law of gravity? No, not gravity. Momentum. It's just like this. And so at one stage, he really had to, after he managed to open the gate, he saw that the jeep was too, he was not, he stopped he managed to stop the jeep. And then he found that he parked the jeep too close to the gate, so he couldn't open. So he had to release it again, and it just went on like that. And at one stage, he had to jump into here and really go. So for me, the practice is a little bit like that. If I don't, if I just stop at the recognizing, accepting, and looking deeply, and I stop there, then I will be just like that ship, There has to be one moment that I am really courageous enough, jump in and drive forward and face it properly and work on it properly so that I can really be free from whatever I am working on. So I'm just wondering if any of you here at the moment you can think about something you are working on, and you can ask yourself, where are you in that? Are you kind of like this, or are you go forward? And so I feel like when I work on myself like that, I can see that I become more patient with myself. I also become more humble, and I also look at other people and I give them time, just like I give myself time. And to be very honest, most of the time, the sisters and me, we can recognize where we are at that moment. Because in our daily life, many things happen, and maybe we have many circles like that, many processes like that, not just one. Sometimes it's a small thing, sometimes it's a big thing that we need more time and more effort to be courageous and go forward. And I always try to finish my talk, if I have to give a talk, 1 hour. But for the last, and now it's actually 1 hour, but I still have something I like to share with you. So I share a little bit more. Is that okay? And what I like to share with you is I also observe that one of the obstacles for my practice is my resistance. And lately, I've been reflecting on this a lot. And I I find it also a lot of fun and very interesting because so when I talk about resistance, I want to look into it a little bit. I think if you go online, they will have a proper definition. But for the purpose of my own practice, this is what I like to look in. When I talk about resistance, I thought about, okay, I don't agree with something, with someone. I don't like, so I don't follow. Or I oppose to certain thing, certain behavior, or certain situation. Could be many things. Could be many things. And when I look behind, I wonder why. And I could see that, oh, maybe I just don't like. I just don't like it. Sometimes it's just outside my comfort zone. And other time, maybe I have different ideology or I have different standpoint and so on and so forth. So I really, I think the list can go on. And so how I've been reflecting on how would I practice with this. And actually this idea came to me from last year when I had to replace my sister who was actually teaching a class for the aspirants in New Hamlet when she was on tour, on a teaching tour. And I replaced her, and of course in such a class, there are many things to explore, including resistance. And that gave me the idea of how I would practice with my own resistance, which I can recognize here and there. And so the first thing I do is to try, or to make an attempt to resist my own resistance. Have you ever tried that before? Yes? How's that? Nice? Not nice? Nice and not nice? Not nice. So for me, it depends actually. It depends. Depends on my rivers. If my 5 rivers, if I am in touch with my rivers and in control of my territories and so on, I would quite enjoy practicing with that. But when I am not really in my territory, it could be quite difficult. So definitely I learn from my own resistance, and I also learn from other people's resistance. Sometimes it's just a very small thing. I suppose everything starts small first. So, for example, when somebody say, oh, I don't like that word. I don't like that word. Thầy kept saying nourishing, Thầy keep using the word nourishing, and I don't like that word. Or Thầy kept saying energy, and then, so I learned when people say something like that, when people share something like that, actually I listen and I bring it home with me and I reflect on it and I practice with it. I practice resist to that resistance by putting it into practice. How do I nourish myself? How do I nourish myself? How do I generate the energy of mindfulness? So I try to go beyond the words, because the word is just the word. We can use, instead of calling the tree, we can call it a hat. And it's the same thing, you know. So, so I find it very, very useful, but I also try to resist to what Thai says sometimes. For example, Thai, you know, Thai is very gentle, right? Usually Thai is very gentle, but sometimes in his teachings, he used very strong image, like the Buddha. Do you know the sutra on the 4 nutriments? In there, the Buddha used very strong image about a couple eating their own son's flesh. Very, very strong. Thai didn't use that to that kind of level of strength of words, but he also used very strong teaching, sometimes strong image. For example, I give you a few examples, and I use them as strong reminders. For example, in the practice of touching the earth, in one of the Dharma talks, he said, practice touching the earth, but don't throw yourself on the floor as a heap of meat. In Vietnamese, đừng có nhào xuống đất như một đống thịt. I don't know if some brothers and sisters here came across that or not, but it's quite strong. And he would say, in the practice of walking meditation, he would say, don't walk as a machine, or don't walk as being chased by a ghost. Đừng có đi như bị ma đuổi, hoặc là đừng có đi như một cái máy. But today I like to share with you a little bit of what I found very useful for me in the practice of chanting. In the practice of chanting, Thầy said, don't chant as a parrot, don't repeat it as a parrot. Đừng có tụng như một con vẹt. So, how do I resist to that? I resist to become a parrot. I resist to become a chunk of meat. And I resist to become a machine. I resist to be chased as a ghost. So in the practice of chanting, I'd like to share with you a little bit of the practice of chanting, because that's one of my favorite practice. The practice of chanting, you came here last week, or you stay here a year or 2 years or whatever length it is, you probably have participated in one of our chanting sessions. I don't know if you do that in the upper Hamlet. Yes, in 3 Hamlets, I think we all have that chance. And when we practice the chanting, this is how I practice resisting to become a parrot. Because in the practice of chanting, when I pay attention, I could see that actually almost all my senses are involved. When I look at the chanting text, my eyes are engaged. And I hear my own voice chanting. I hear my other brothers and sisters chanting their own voice. And I learn to adjust my volume so that I can be in harmony with the whole Sangha. I also learn to open my mouth a little bit bigger, because my tendency is to speak, not open my mouth. In chanting, I learn to open my mouth a bit bigger so that my voice can flow. And I also engage my ears. Earlier, I mentioned that I listen to other brothers and sisters. So my ears engaged, my vocal cord engaged, my lungs are engaged. And I feel that in the practice of chanting, I also notice that I drop. Sometimes I feel my chanting, I feel that, oh, the Sangha chant very, very like without energy. So as a Sangha member, I try to bring some more energy into the chanting. Because maybe my sisters that day, they are tired or something like that. So I bring more energy into the chanting. So a chanting would actually water my good seeds, because the words, sometimes I know the words, but I still look at the text, because I find that if I don't look at the text, I become a parrot again. I run the risk to become a parrot again, because I just chant and then just like automatic. But when I read the words, sometimes the words speak to me, and it serves me as a reminder and water my good seeds. And something very simple like this, like in the chant called Nourishing Happiness, there's sentences like this. Although seeds of suffering are still in me, in the form of afflictions and habit energies, mindfulness is also there, helping me touch what is most wonderful within and around me. I can still enjoy mindfulness of the six senses. My eyes look peacefully upon the clear blue sky. My ears listen with wonder to the songs of birds. My nose smells the rich scent of sandalwood. My tongue tastes the nectar of the Dharma. My posture is upright, stable, and relaxed, and my mind is one with my body. So when I came across sentences like this, it actually brought to me the awareness that, okay, today I still can sit straight with my back straight, stable and relaxed, my whole body. And I know that if I am able to live to 80 or 90 years old, one day I would not be able to sit like that anymore. So that's why today I enjoy it so much. And I also bring it out to my walking meditation. When I look at the blue skies, I am very happy to have my eyes still able to see the wonders of life around me, the colors and the shapes. And now I have to wear my glasses, as you see. But there was days that I didn't need glasses when I was 22. But back then in 22, I didn't come across chanting like this. So that's why I was succumbed into that kind of black mentality. Back then, imagine if I had clear eyes like that, and if I could come across something like this, I would enjoy my eyes much, much more. So I think maybe I can just stop here. Thank you for your attention. I hope that you can take some moments, maybe on your birthday or somebody's birthday, use it as an occasion, maybe to do a little bit of inventory also of your joy, of your practice. And in the meantime, I will continue doing it myself. It will never end. And if today's talk, if you feel there's something you can pick up and feel inspired, it's thanks to Thầy and the Buddha. I am just here to share with you what I picked up from them. And if anything that you find not of that quality, it's entirely mine. Thank you for your time and your listening.